Should make sure we go live on TikTok while we can, huh? Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Justice's Waiting Room. This is a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. I'm your host. My name is Jared. If you're trying to find me outside of this space, don't. Just kidding. I don't use Facebook threads, IG, WhatsApp, Messenger, Twitter. But I suppose you could catch me every now and then leaving one word video game recommendations. But I think that's about it, really. Might share some things here and there. I'm off it. That's just kind of how it is. Now I just sit here with you, right? Every morning, at least I try to share. What is it good? I love TikTok so much. Before I got my first readable comment, TikTok sent me a notification that they were removing a comment because it violated TikTok's terms of service. We didn't even say anything yet. How'd you come in the door so mad the AI doesn't want you here? That's that's wild work. And so I sort of see the writing on the wall in that if I don't make weather related content, many more people will die, including little kids. So hey, Tropical Storm Chantel is about to make landfall in South Carolina. I feel like I'm pointing that out. Again, I don't even feel like I'm in the band as the Titanic sinks. I just kind of feel like I'm standing there telling people not to overcrowd the boat. There's a tropical storm about to make landfall in South Carolina, y'all. Okay. I think it's sort of a low bar. Because I don't want to see this keep happening, and it's because I don't want to see what is happening in Texas in regards to these floods and these at least 51 people that have died in hill country in Texas. Okay? A lot of, unfortunately, a lot of violence over the weekend. Speaking of violence, Joey Chestnut won the annual hot dog eating, Nathan's annual hot dog eating contest. I'm guessing that's not the turn you thought that sentence was going to take. And then, this is what I mean about we shouldn't have billionaires, man. Look, look. I don't even want the money, but I think if we just federally legalize schmarshmana, we could have universal health care, education, income, and housing. Instead, we have billionaires that currently have an $88 million pollution tracking satellite missing in fucking space. Just so everybody knows, we have fucking billionaires, and so we have a pollution tracking satellite currently missing in space that costs like $90 million. Gee, I wonder how many people could that feed and house? Right? But yeah, I think I would not be using my platform effectively if I didn't spend time every day. Alright, this is the way I perceive it. Alright, there's an alert in the southwest part of the country. I'm assuming that's flash floods. Yeah, okay. Check it out. Tropical storm warning, South Carolina, basically the entirety of the South Carolina coast. Okay? In the southwest part of the country, there's a flash flood warning. I'm talking like from. Where's that map at? Like 29 Palms to Nogales in New Mexico, all the way up towards Flagstaff. It's a huge swath of land. There is a flash flood warning. Um, that's crazy. It feels defunded. And then we've got a fire weather watch in northern and northeast Nevada. What's this up here? Nothing. We have obviously the flood watch in central Texas. It looks like another flood watch here in North Carolina from Mount Airy to Kinston. Fuck. Okay, map. I'm doing the best I can. I'm not a meteorologist. I'm literally just looking at the different colored parts on the map and saying like, I think this is a severe thunderstorm warning in the far northeast part of the country. From Niagara Falls east of Syracuse. I'm really not good at this. Okay? Forecast maps. It's going to be hotter than a bitch. I don't know really what y'all want me to say. National maps. It's going to be hotter than a motherfucker. Looks like there are for sure going to be some storms in the middle part of the country soon. Again, I am not a professional, but I feel like somebody's got to step up other than Ryan Hall and be like, it's a fucking hurricane. Look out, motherfuckers. Uh, one of the things that you are most certainly going to get out of me that you might not like this flavor of me, but I'm going to be a smartass. And if I think that there's a hole that needs filled, well, look out, y'all. Fair? And if you want to kind of do your own dabbling, I kind of told you he's going to attack the National Weather Service and defund the NOAA and but yeah, I did say it was going to be hotter than a bitch, right? Well, look at Ryan Hall's most recent. It literally has fire on the cover. So, Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, it's going to be hot. It's going to be very hot. Make sure you drink water. As a Florida man, hurricanes mean better street surfing. Yes. As someone who grew up beside a river, I too have uh, been drugged by a four wheeler while I was on a wakeboard in a flooded cornfield. It's like the four wheeler's dragging me by rope, and I was on a wakeboard that was flooded, in a big cornfield that was flooded. Hmm. Yep. When it floods, you use the big trucks to generate like waves, and you could like bodyboard in their wake. Hmm. Naturally, getting drug around by anything for entertainment, kind of wild. Kind of wild how willing our parents were to let us sit on a trash can lid. Now that I think about it, grew up on 6 Miles Creek in Tampa. John boats and surfboards on Main Street. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Being from the Midwest, where you don't tend to get the brunt of all of this. Is one of the reasons I stay is I see the extremes in weather elsewhere, and I'm like, we're not really. I went to Las Vegas. I've been to Las Vegas in the middle of summer. I've been to Pittsburgh in the winter. You know what I mean? And I have no desire to like make my situation worse. I hope that makes sense. I know some of you have a. I mean, I think some of you have a vested interest in me and what's going on with me personally. So a moment here. Um, the guy with the nice teeth made this movie. It is a documentary, okay, covering the 1998 U.S. Nationals for Magic the Gathering. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, I am a nerd. I am a competitive person. Think of me like a modern chess player. Okay, except my chess of choice, my game of choice is not poker or five card draw or blackjack or none of that shit. Magic the Gathering. Um, for example, I hold in my hand newly constructed, what is now being referred to as Grixis prowess. Um, I like to do math and beat my opponents real fast and go hang out outside and decompress rather than play a 50-minute round, you know, two long games in a quick game. I don't like to do that. I like to get it over with. But so I have this hobby, and when I was on active duty more than 20 years ago and friends with the guys I served with, one of the guys I served with is a also a big Magic the Gathering fan. Isn't that awesome? So we share a hobby in common, and he contacted me because I had gone off Facebook. Otherwise, we'd just kind of dotted each other's Facebook pages for years. Nothing too crazy. He came to Indy, and I think the main reason he came to Indy is because he was probably busting at the seams wanting to show this to somebody. And I'm a competitive Magic player, so I also have I would say a shitty sense of history. And so, for example, I like magic and its history. So, what's awesome is even if Albert and I weren't going to, even if Burkhead and I weren't going to be friends, at least there's a badass documentarian documenting high level Magic the Gathering. And what just so happens to be the best part about all of this, the best part about all of this, it's very much, in my eyes, a good versus evil story. So if you want an archetypal sort of like, what am I watching? You are watching nerds explain good versus evil. You have Matt Lindy, the good guy, who is a sweetheart and still plays Magic competitively, and I don't know him other than that. Okay, but still very much beloved and successful Magic player and successful outside of Magic, right? Versus Michael Long, and it's beautiful because the whole documentary, you are perceiving Michael Long as the bad guy, and you're like, oh, what a bad guy, what a bad guy, right? He's the heel. Think of it like professional wrestling. He was a draw. And so there's a person who works for Wizards still whose job it was to sort of cultivate the competitive community in Magic the Gathering, and he still works there. Been there like pushing 30 years. And he admitted in a documentary that was being produced that got shelved about competitive Magic, which also covered cheating in high level competitive Magic the Gathering. Uh, Mark Rosewater, who's like the lead designer for Magic the Gathering, admitted that they fostered an environment which was conducive to cheating to grow the game. They used this competitive player, Michael Long, who was beloved, by the way. Everybody loved Michael Long. You just hope he didn't fucking cheat when he beat you. You know what I mean? And he had the proclivity to cheat. It's a great doc because the whole time you're like, oh, it's Michael Long's a bad guy. I get it, whatever. What a shitty film, right? It's just a movie, right? But there's this knuckleball at the end, and you're like, oh shit, oh that's awful. I actually feel bad. You end up leaving feeling bad for Michael Long because he was clearly enabled and abused and used, right? And for the lack of better way to talk about it, it's like Wizards owes him money. Like everybody wanted to play competitive Magic to beat him at competitive Magic because he had the proclivity to cheat. Yeah, 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 Kara, that sounds awful. So yeah, I know a lot of you aren't like interested in maybe Magic, but I think the movie is worth the watch. And if nothing else, you come away with an understanding of something that's my hobby. That's what I do and intend to do is play high level competitive Magic. The environment is conducive to the growth of the American Socialist Party. People that play competitive Magic at a high level, you got to have money. You got to have money. You got to travel, and you can't be real close minded because you won't have any friends because the Magic the Gathering community is very diverse. Um, anyway, I wanted to share that with you. Here, he made a movie. You should go watch it. It has 7,000 views in 2 days. So it's gonna be real popular whether you watch it or not. But it's an hour and 40-minute movie that's free on YouTube. So I think it's gonna do pretty good just because it's an hour and 40-minute long movie that's free on YouTube. You know what I mean? Good morning, Cease. Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday morning. 'Cause, 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 I don't know about y'all. Sunday morning's my favorite growing up. It was football. Um, I didn't really mind going to church as a kid on Sundays. Typically, you either got to go out to breakfast or you'd have those days where you were out long enough that you went for breakfast and lunch. And I don't know about y'all, but when you're a little kid and your parents grew up poor and they cook most of your meals, getting to eat out twice in a day is like, oh, that's rich, right? That's too much. Oh, you see how crazy all these January Sixers really are? Here's a story from CBS News, okay? This January Sixer that got pardoned, right? Scarlet Wookie said, got stationed in Texas, found a Whataburger, and found a family in Magic. Life, laugh I love. Yeah, Scarlet. I my dad bought. He came home. I'm assuming he was cheating, but he came home one day from work and he had bought uh, Portal. Magic the Gathering had come out, and he bought Portal. So they made starter decks in Portal. You could buy. He bought a black deck and a white deck, or a black deck and a blue deck. And so, for the record, my first exposure to Magic the Gathering was Counterspell and Wrath of God. You're not welcome. And then that was supposed to be funny. And then I never got to play Magic because I was an athlete. So the nerds were like, "What's wrong with you, nerd? What's wrong with you, man? You're not a nerd. You're not a Magic player." And so what's funny about that is those same people that called me a nerd and didn't want me to play Magic with them when I was in high school. When we got out of high school and I was at Purdue University, a guy I went to high school with won like a store championship, and I got phone calls from other people being like, "You ought to go watch Nathan Cashin play Magic the Gathering. He's like winning." And I went and he won. And so put that in your brain hole. When I was in college, there was a kid I went to high school with named Nate Cashin, who is a doctor of pharmacy now, and not your local pharmacist, like the nuclear pharmacy, the guy that cures cancer type people. Okay, so he played Magic when he was competitively when he was in college, and then when I came home from the Marine Corps, um, it was real. It was a hard, very. I had a very hard transition out of the Marine Corps. I had a bad time, um, and eventually, I had money, and I got a place to live, and I got a roommate. His name was Tennyson Manyanga. Um, Last I heard, he's going to medical school. But he was just a young man when we got a place together. I can't remember which African country he's from, and I feel like I'm being deeply disrespectful, but he was a beautiful black man. Women love him. Um, we had a great time. But I was in my 20s and single, just like everybody else, wanting to go out on Friday nights and in my own city. And I even knew what I was gonna do. I was looking forward to go getting a Royale type burger and fries and drink some beer and people watch at the Red Eye Cafe downtown Indianapolis. It's across the street from all the clubs. You know, all the clubs people go get woefully pissed drunk at, and then they dance and shit and they have fun and the cops rough them up. I used to like to watch that shit. I don't know. it's like it's like watching cops in real life though. But no, what I would really do is I would use their really good free internet. So they had really good free internet, and I could play poker on my laptop using their internet. And so I'd go in public. And think about being able to be in public, have a table to yourself with your laptop set up, have somebody serve you beer. Actually, I used to go to the counter to get beer so they didn't have to serve me. And I'd just be playing poker, watching people. I'm not really a partier like that. The unce, unce, unce. I'm really not trying to like try to sleep to that. You know what I mean? Um, anyway, one night I was on a Friday night. I was out. I'm going to go downtown to Red Eye Cafe to get a burger and a beer and see where the night takes me, which means that I was gonna drink and drive. And looking back on it, I'm so happy that I did not just go downtown and drink and drive because it snowed that night really badly, and I actually got snowed in at the shop. So instead of just going drinking and driving when it's really bad snow on the ground, drinking and driving is bad. It's especially bad when you're doing it in inclement weather. Keep in mind, I don't drink anymore, but it's bad to drink and drive, especially when there's inclement weather. And so it just so happened when I turned on to US 40, there was 50 people crossing a four-lane highway that were having to park at the Walmart across the street to walk to the shop because it didn't have adequate parking. And if it hadn't been for an oncoming vehicle with its brights on, I wouldn't have seen all of those people. And so I slam on my brakes, and keep in mind it's bad weather, so I like, what the hell? And I realize it's a gaggle of people, and they all looked, they were all dressed like I. So I just took a left-hand turn into the parking lot. Right as the pizza delivery guy pulled out, I slid in behind him, slammed on the brakes, slid to a stop before I actually roughed up my car up against all the snow, pushed up against the sidewalk. And I got out, and at that time I was a chain smoker too, so got out immediately, lit a cigarette, like holy shit, what the fuck is going on? And I'll watch all these people like, hi, like what are all these people going into this business? And one of the guys that was outside smoking was like, this is Magic the Gathering, it's Friday Night Magic. And it just so happened to be a pre-release. So I've tracked down what day that was. Like the day I learned to play Magic. Magic the Gathering set releases. Pre-release. People are always curious. Like they have their pre-release dates. All right, so oh, it's on a core set. My introduction to Magic the Gathering was okay. I think it's January 19th, 2008. Morning Tide. I came home after the Lorwyn pre-release, so I wasn't in Indy when the Lorwyn pre-release happened. But I played Morning Tide, Shadowmoor Eventide, Shards, Conflux, Alara Reborn, Zendikar, Worldwake. I think Rise of Eldrazi I stopped. I didn't play the Myriad, or I'm sorry, the Mirrodin or Innistrad blocks. I think I came back RTR, so Return to Ravnica in 2012. Theros block, Khans block, BFZ Block, Shadows, Kaladesh, Amonkhet, and then I kind of fell off on this 3-in-1 model, the Dominaria Guilds, Ravnica, War of the Spark, Throne of Eldraine. I kind of fell off here. They just did too much. But they've created sets of Magic the Gathering that are relative to my other interests. Like they made a Fallout set. I'm a Fallout player. Like hell yes. My sideboard cards are the Fallout versions of Wear and Tear, for example. But yeah, so sorry everybody. I was connecting with another veteran that found Magic the Gathering. Yeah, I played States. So if we talk about, I went to that pre-release. What I say, January whatever. When was when was Magic the Gathering States 2008? I want to say February. November 8th of '08. So that's 11, and I got into it in February. March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. So 9 months after learning to play Magic, I played in Magic the Gathering States. I didn't win or anything, but a guy that taught me to play Magic, and I traveled around the country with him while he beat people's ass. Nate Cashin got top four at states, and I think the three people in front of him like couldn't even accept their invite. So not only did he get the invite, but he got like prizes for states. I didn't. I don't think I finished in the top 16, but I ended up getting some sort of consolation because of people's inability to accept prize. Which I don't recall. One of those things I've learned in my life is like refuse to lie. Just say I don't know. I don't remember if I got anything or not. Um, and then went to Worlds in 2008 in Memphis, Tennessee, and spent several days in Memphis. So people that talk about Memphis, for the record, there may be like a higher crime rate. Sure, but the food was on point. The beer was on point. Like the barbecue's good. I'm not a big on dry rub. I'm not big on dry rub. So there's a lot of people that swear by dry rub barbecue. Memphis is known for dry rub. It's about the only place I'd eat it. Yeah, it's one of the reasons that I kind of got out of the lane of coaching and got went back to Magic the Gathering. There were so many signs. I don't know if I've talked to y'all about this, but I keep this book on me. You know how there's people that are always carrying a pew pew? I'm not. I always have a book on me though. I'm trying to find it. So I have a here's a couple books. Everybody wanted to know what do I got around me, right? So here, uh, what to say when you talk to yourself. and then The Everyday Coach. Okay. And then my favorite book of all time, which I'm currently having a hard time finding. I'm guessing it's here. It is not there. Okay. Fair. Fair. Um, it's probably in my backpack. Like I said, it's within arm's reach. There it is. So, sorry. Sorry. The Alchemist. And so, if you've ever read The Alchemist, one of the running themes in The Alchemist is read the signs. And when I was like interviewing for coaching jobs, I'm running into conservative white men who are my adversary. Do you get it? And so I don't know about you, but I don't want to come up in an adversarial position with my leadership everywhere I go. Every place I'm interviewing with, I'm just interviewing with intolerant fucking white people that are going to get in my way. Whereas the Magic the Gathering community is not only like diverse, big, progressive, they're going to be more helpful. They're going to help facilitate. Um, and so I kind of saw the writing on the wall. And it was like, I got offered a job and I didn't take it in coaching for a program that is, yep. And I saw what was in front of me. And I was like, oh, this is going to be short lived. I'm going to like ruin my this opportunity on the whole because I'm wholly unprepared for this level of job. It's like a trap, right? They're looking for a fall guy, right? You got to be able to read the room, right? But when I dabble in Magic the Gathering, I find that it's veterans. It's the LGBTQIA plus. It's otherwise very open and accepting people. People who are going to be more likely to support the American Socialist Party. And I don't know about anybody else, but I'm excited because Donald Trump, or not Donald Trump, Elon Musk is starting his own party, calling it the America Party. That's rich. That's rich coming from somebody who helped with the downfall of American democracy, right? But that's where MAGA is headed. In case you wondered how this works, I told you this would be the death of the Republican Party. Did I not? How do you think it happens? It happens when Elon Musk and Donald Trump have this big falling out, right? Donald Trump realizes at some point he's going to DIE, right? The party's going to have a direction to go. I can tell you now, the Republicans have already said once he DIESs, this shit's over. We're not doing this shit. This is not how you govern. I'm telling you. Um, so I think, mhm, yep. That's funny. Got stationed in Texas, found a Whataburger, found a family in Magic. Uh, Culver's and Magic the Gathering. Yep, 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 yep. Well, this is going to be interesting. Here's the Chinese foreign minister telling the EU that it cannot accept Russia losing to Ukraine. I'm glad I beat. First of all, I'm glad that I beat him to the punch. Come on, Ukraine, you can do this. Yeah. I mean, if I remember correctly, Ukraine had a wild airstrike here recently. And we did, I think we did talk about this in the Discord. No, it's not good. It's not good when China's foreign minister tells the EU that they cannot support Russia losing in Ukraine. Why? It's important for large military powers to remain large and powerful, and when they get their ass kicked by a much smaller country, they tend to shake in their boots, and they don't want to. I don't know. It's almost like we have been preparing for a war for a long time that's not going to be fought with boots on the ground. And that's really unfortunate because what do you think we use? It's like drones and fighter jets and bombers. You think they just stop there? Morning, Jerry. It's like we say World War III will be like very sophisticated and World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. And see, people always say like look for the helpers, right? LL Cool J refused to perform at Philadelphia's July 4th festival in support of the workers' strike. One of the things that I don't think we do is we don't celebrate people doing the right thing enough. We think you should do the right thing and that there should not be any reward for doing so. And I just want you to know the reason people do evil shit is because it's gratifying. You know why people are evil? Because when you do something bad, people go, "Oh, you did something bad," and it gives you a little bit of chemicals in your brain that it's like, wait a minute. It's almost like there's no incentive to do the right thing. Because when you do the right thing, that's just what you should do, right? So when these billionaires fund the arts and they make large portions of their monies available to programs, that's what they should do with their money. And so I'm not at all like caping for them. I'm just saying like the reason that they turn evil is because they do really most of them try to do something nice and they don't get the reward for it that they think that they were going to get the public attention, right? That's the big overarching commonality between billionaires is their attention seeking, right? And so there's really you're not going to win like a peace prize for um, the arts, your investment in the arts, right? So because there's no reward, they tend to think, well, fuck that. Wonder what I could do to make some noise. Oh, I could fund some shisty political shit. I can assure you of this. The people that funded this regime are shaking in their fucking boots. Not only are they losing their whole asshole, okay, in terms of financially, this is terrible for you. Um, but they're having a hard time being in public. Jeff Bezos had to change the venue for his wedding. I don't think you realize he rented out a town. How the fuck do you rent out a town and the town says no? Fuck all that. Motherfuckers are angry. I want to keep reminding you, your life is shit because of like less than 2,000 people. Billions of us, a couple thousand billionaires worldwide. Hmm? Less, I think it's like 55 or something like that in the United States. Or is it 84? It might be 84. But those people are going to try to do whatever they can to hang on to their money. What they don't realize is they could just not be a twat and make money forever and give it all away, and do good stuff for other people. It feels a lot better. Not having to worry about what your negative karma is gonna bring you. You know, there's a reason you look at a motherfucker and you're like, wow, they're 35, they look 75. I tend to believe it's the guilt. It's it's their decisions weighing on them. When you see people and you're like, oh, they look tired. hmm I bet they do. Do you ever see the president write a bill or write an executive order and you're like, is this aimed at his wife? Oh, you can undo you can undo legislation. It's not like amended into law, you know. You can undo legislation. People say permanent and I say like if it's not a Bill of Rights or an amendment to, what the fuck are we talking about? That's undoable. Mm. Yep. You just gotta stop electing billionaires and stop electing people that are caping the billionaires. Stop people that are trying to profit off being a politician are not the people you want in politics. So what we've gotta figure out is all the people that are deciding like I'm gonna see how much money I can make in office. We gotta get those people out of office. And the thing about it is, it's not illegal for them to like insider trade and stock trade, right? And the thing about this big beautiful bill, we need to make sure we look. So I'm just googling HR1. Now, I'm just going to sit here and tell you, I told you yesterday morning I saw a bunch of people making content about it. I see that people have absolutely zero problem stealing other people's premise. That's okay. That's okay. I'm not a fucking scumbag. But yeah, when you go look at HR1, the big beautiful bill, it says that it's to the president, but it doesn't say that it's become law. So just want to make sure, I absolutely think that the person who would update that is probably not working on the weekend. and that they'll probably be there tomorrow and they'll update that. But I it hasn't been updated in 72 hours, and most people worked Thursday. Yeah. Mhm. And we talked about it, and we talked about it on the show yesterday. That it does say that it's to the president. It doesn't say that it's become law. I'm also well aware that it doesn't go into effect until like January 1st. And the whole point of doing it this way is to spend the next 6 months trying to get people to forget about the big beautiful bill. And what they plan on doing is using the turmoil created by the big beautiful bill to use that to help them win elections by spinning it and trying to blame it on the Democrats. I just want to point out, though, the problem that Donald Trump's going to run into is that zero Democrats voted for this bill, and in fact, multiple Republicans voted against it. So this means that Republicans own this big, beautiful bill in its entirety. None of it is on the Democrat. They didn't vote for this shit. And so what's going to end up hanging over Donald Trump's head is that if he allows this bill to go into effect on January 1st, it absolutely rat fucks a whole bunch of people. He always chickens the fuck out, is the MO. And when you look, and it's like, well, if you look at congress.gov at HR 1, it doesn't say that it's become law. And that makes me think that he made a show of signing it, right? Because remember, it's not about the results, right? Remember, he put his hand on two Bibles to take the oath to become president. Remember that? Or no. Remember, he was presented with two books, and he didn't put his hand on the Bible. Sorry. It's just a lot of things are real weird. It absolutely feels like an op. It feels like the powers that be are. It feels like he's receiving orders. Uh huh. Donald Trump is receiving orders. I kind of think. I kind of. A part of me is like, the Democrats have been so quiet about this. And they haven't at all questioned the election despite the noise about the election. Despite smart elections and the Election Truth Alliance gaining momentum and steam, and that noise getting louder and louder about this election, despite all that noise, the Democrats are still super fucking quiet. What? In fact, Tim Walz said pretty recently, nah, the 2024 US election was legit. And you're just like, wait a minute. You can't pull the wool over my eyes. I saw what I saw. I think the reason they let Donald Trump become president, it's a very loose conspiracy theory. This is as conspiracy theorist as I get. Okay? I think there's this thing called the AMOC. It is a current in North America, and there's one in South America. Okay, and the fear is the volatility in the climate should the AMOC go away, and it's unstable, so it could very well just like go away. And there's a team of people that aren't scientists that have been saying like, nah, that's not even real, it doesn't matter, and it's not going to impact us at all. And oh, by the way, the southern hemisphere has one of these currents too, and it reversed. and it's gonna wreak havoc on the climate. And again, I feel like I'm on the Titanic as it goes down. I'm not part of the fucking band, but I am the guy standing there as people get on these lifeboats. Like, don't overfill lifeboats. You got to put a life jacket on. Listen, once you get in the water, you got to get away from the boat because as it sinks, it's gonna pull uh, you toward it, and you want to paddle the fuck away from the boat. But as I've said before, PBS Terra, I have never seen someone cry on PBS Terra before. But there was a video a while back, and the girl at PBS Terra was explaining about AMOC and about how it's an unstable and it could very well collapse or reverse. And there was a lot of people that are not believing that shit. And she was like, okay, well, there's one in the southern hemisphere and it's even more unstable. And oh, by the way, it reversed. And that is all that already happened. There's nothing you can fucking do about it, and it's gonna have unforeseen consequences. That could also happen in the northern hemisphere, and then shit is fucked. I don't know how to explain it. And so I think that's kind of why the Democrats aren't contesting this election, is because who knows what's going to happen with the weather, and nobody can control it or do anything about it. Why would you want the Democrats to have their fucking name on it? Look what happened in Texas, right? That was a freak shower, put a foot of water down in a morning, right? In an area that was prone to flooding. So understand, um, you don't get the points of it being like an area you didn't anticipate. Um, but no alerts. Yeah, nobody was warned about this. And so if you've ever felt the suddenness of a storm, imagine the suddenness of a storm that puts a foot of water down in a short amount of time. That is scare just about anyone. Shock will make people unable to move, and so anytime something sudden happens that's striking, um, yep. And just as a reminder, Project 2025 canceled environmental protections. So when you think back on this and you want to know who you're supposed to blame, right? We want to make sure that we spend, a good portion of our time together making sure we say, hey, free Palestine and Slava Ukraine. Hey, Crush, what's up? Birthday buddy! Want to make sure we throw out there Republicans are not just cutting Medicaid. So, one of the things that's not getting through to the public is that it's not just about Medicaid. They're also cutting Medicare and SNAP. Um, so, to explain that, because I know there's people that are freaking out right now because I just started talking about the AMOC and they're like, what the fuck smart shit is this? So, the AMOC, and I'm terrible at explaining it, and somebody smarter than me can explain it better. But long story short, it's like an undercurrent that helps regulate the temperature of the world's water. And it's like really a big deal. It's a huge underwater current. Um, it's hard to explain. It's like a washing machine that cycles the water, and so it keeps the water cooler. I think it keeps water cooler. And then uh, when that water stops being temperature regulated, the global temperature is going to increase as the water temperature increases because the condensation coming off the water. I mean, one of the things that immediately comes to mind that's going to be fucked is boat travel. Imagining higher temperatures, higher temp in the morning, higher dew in the morning. This means fog, and the fog is going to get really bad. So you want to talk about the calm things, right? The things that aren't necessarily violent. Fog, for example, when you raise the temperature of the water, which puts out hotter condensated air, it creates more fog. So, in what you were used to driving through what is called a passable fog, right? Where you can definitely see that the fog's there, but even when you're driving through it, you can kind of see through it. Now, when the water temperatures, yep, that degree or 2 degrees Celsius, and by the way, 1.5 degrees Celsius uh, a few. I think it's 3 degrees per degree. So a 1.5 degrees Celsius change is equal to, hold on, in Fahrenheit, what is a 1.5 degree Celsius? Yeah. Oh, so 1.5 is 2.7 degrees change. So when you think about, yeah, I mean, you gotta be worried about everybody. Yeah. What you've really got to be worried about are people that are farthest away from the science. Does that make sense? So these are people that live in. Think about the outright attack, the assault on poor people from the world. If you're a poor person, you're under attack because what and again, I don't know that we can actually do anything about the AMOC and the one in the southern hemisphere. I don't know that you can actually do anything about that. I don't know that we like did something here. But I believe beyond a shadow of a doubt, in concert with those ocean currents failing and rising temperatures, what I'm talking about is deadly fog first. That's what we'll start with. A fog you can't see through that doesn't lift for half the day, making whole parts of the country completely impassable just because of the depth of fog. And I know that if you've ever driven in deadly fog, you know what I'm talking about. It's real. Um, People will absolutely not see that coming. That's in parts of the country that are livable. Now, what we've already seen and what we're already seeing is equatorial drought conditions. So if you just look, if you just look at the equator around the globe, the desert is expanding in both directions from the equator, right? In both directions. Uh, Big parts of the United States are already experiencing a drought. Now, don't get it twisted. From what I understand, the two areas in the United States experiencing drought are both supposed to get rain this week. So it's like, I mean, okay. So again, one of the things I'm kind of seeing the writing on the wall is if I don't use my live platform to just partially also discuss weather, um, and I don't seek like syndication to get the word out, right? Because I'm on every morning, right? And so what I think maybe I'll do is I'll reach out to Ryan Hall and say, hey, I have a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics, and I really feel like what you're doing is really important. Um, and I know you don't make content every day, and I was wondering if I could pay you for a weather report so that I could deliver it. I'll do it. I'll do the heavy lifting of actually telling other people, but I want to put the word out. I want people to know, like, if you live here, there's going to be a tornado. If you live here, there's going to be a hurricane. You live here, there's going to be hail. You live here, there's going to be high wind, right? And just so if I am seeking publication, I'm seeking to get more eyes and ears on my shit. It's not for profit. I'm not that. It's not that. I have a real hard time with that. Because I'm not like all these other fucking It does, it does. But if you have some sort of forewarning, you're not taken by surprise. And if one less person is taken by surprise, a whole bunch of people could survive. And I know that sounds, it doesn't sound, it sounds crazy to say that, right? But I've been in nothing but trauma my whole life. And the only thing I can speak on is like having already experienced fucking high trauma, right? Like I said, when I was in fifth grade, on my way to light the Christmas tree downtown Indianapolis, they have a Christmas tree lighting. Jerry said a false warning is better than none. Well, I don't even want to be false warning. Ryan Hall is a trained meteorologist, so getting a daily weather report from him and saying, "Look, I'll just deliver it and I'll direct people to you. I don't want any money. I just want to. I just don't want anyone that I care about to die un- unnecessarily." Because I can't imagine being a parent of one of these fucking kids that got swept away in a freak storm in Texas because there's no warning. And think about letting your kid go to a flood prone area, there not being any warning at all that that storm was coming, and then it just 50 something people. And I'm a firm believer, if one person had their ear on the pulse, like thumb on the pulse, right, and one person said freak storm southeast Texas, one of those kids hears that on the radio and says, hey, maybe we should not do go down there, maybe we should stay up high. What the fuck ever. I don't know. Now we're too deep into a hypothetical for it to continue to make sense, right? So you got to be reasonable here, because I could go anywhere and do it, but I want to involve Ryan Hall because I drink in the juice, right? I've seen what Ryan Hall does. Ryan Hall and what that group of people do is go into these communities and they're helping them and they fundraise for them, right? And maybe someday they'll be fundraising for you or me, right? But I keep it keeps missing me, and I think about that a lot, right? I watched this morning, one of the first videos I watched uh, was an entire family in a house as it gets swept away. Yeah, we had a storm like that pop up out of nowhere in Florida like a week and a half ago. Yeah, yeah, we've had intense storms that came up real fast. Did not see that coming. Uh huh. And again, I'm not a meteorologist, so I am gonna go to someone that I trust, that uh, I just, if I could just deliver a paragraph of information, right? I thought I'm not good at it, but I thought what I did earlier was good, right? Where you're like, hey, uh, flash flood warning from here to here, from here to here. Like, I'll give you the northern and southern and eastern and western parameters for the warning, and only point out the ones that are right, like severe thunderstorm, flash flood, tornado, hurricane, or tropical storm, right? So, like I said, if one person is aware, it could save a whole community of people. I'm fully confident in that. Um, if one person is watching Ryan Hall when Ryan Hall says your town and says, "Hey, I think this tornado is going to hit your town," and they go and they get in their storm shelter and they survive, worth worth it. Remember, as I told you, this is a war of attrition. Every body matters. On the contrary to what the American Fascist Party, by the way, is what they're calling the Republican Party now, AFP. Perfect. They're playing right into my hands. I found the American Socialist Party, whose logo is an Egyptian cobra. And in no short order, Elon Musk is starting the America Party. Donald Trump has conducted himself so poorly as president, they're now referring to the Republican Party as the American Fascist Party. Yeah, Kara, me too. Yep. It's like as I get older, I realize, yep, everyone needs to beware, keep an eye on the sky. And there's people that just don't. One of the things that I've learned is the reason that I'm here is not because it's about me, because it's about the person that doesn't have the time or the dime or the interest, right? Like you could do anything about it anyway. That's one of the things I've heard people say. I can't do anything about it anyway. So, welcome, Jerry. I feel real bad. I feel real bad because like I said, the first thing I watched this morning was a whole house full of people just get washed away in a storm. And all I could think about is like, we're paper mache. Those, when you think about like your whole home getting swept away, I'm not talking about obliterated by a tornado. I'm talking about carried downstream. All I'm saying is that same force that compels you, the force that stops you is going to really hurt. And I just thought about like, even if you survive, they're all going to be really hurt. Hurt arms, hurt legs, potential puncture wounds. Um, they're definitely prone to infection because of that water. It can't be clean. Not to mention displacement. All of their belongings displaced. I'm willing to bet you if there's any sort of open wound, they don't have the ability to treat it, right? So that's the things that I was watching, and I was like, oh man, I don't know how much of that I can just watch and not do something. What can I do within the program, right? Within this daily show, I think that if I'm able to connect with someone like a Ryan Hall and say, hey, look, I don't want to cut into your show. Make your money, baby. But I want to be able to tell people, and if it's just going to the National Weather Service site and looking at the map and reading it, and him telling me to fuck off, that's fine. But I can't imagine that he's going to do anything but say, I will have that to you before you start every day. I'll let you know. Cool. I just want to get the word out. Hey, if you live here, 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 and here, keep your eyes open for this, and this, and on with the show. But that paired with seeking like a larger audience. This is like the smallest audience we've had in a while, so I just appreciate y'all being here. It's about 15 people on two platforms. Remember, without you, there's no me. There's no sense of me being here if I'm just talking to myself. So I'm just glad you're here. Oh, and in case you didn't need to like be told this, the IDF are the bad guys. Okay. I didn't think that everybody had to be told that, but they're like desecrating a church and turning it into a bathroom. I just want to see people explain that away. Explain how Israel and the IDF aren't the bad guys. They sprayed painted graffiti uh, in a church and defecated uh, like between the pews. And one of the things that I will judge a person on forever is how you feel about the IDF and about Israel. Thanks, Stubbs. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Many believe that 9/11 was the action of the Zionists as a false flag so that the world would turn on Muslims. Huh. How are the protests go on the 4th? Well, they're going to make that real small, right? They're going to make it seem like the protests were real small. Multiple countries just issued travel warnings to the United States. I didn't. Well, you know how they're cherry picking the news when the only thing I heard about were the shootings. So I'm assuming we'll see pictures. I'm looking at 50501 right now. There's a reason it's like, oh, there were no protests, huh? Uh huh. Tells you everything you need to know. I'll put it like this. I'm not like life of the party or anything. Don't think of it like this. There was no chatter on fourth plans. There was no where are we going to party. None of that shit. None of that shit. And again, I'm not here to speculate on whether there were massive protests or not. I don't fucking know. I had to work. And by the way, your boy has been on fire lately. I'm top 30 in the company, and I was 3 for 4 yesterday. Like, closed like 75% of my deals. And I'm already closing like well above 50%. So, like, rocket ship, except the kind that doesn't crash on the landing pad. Yeah, I know. I'm fucking on one. You're looking at greatness. Oh yeah, this is every job I've ever had. And they're already like, we should put you in leadership, and you should leave my paycheck alone. Oh, ah. And I'm about to stop paying fucking federal taxes if I could figure ADP out. The Jens lingo's fun. Yeah, it gets lit in here. No skibbity Ohio Riz ever. Amazing confidence. Yes. Mm-hmm. It's because I actually get to follow up with people. That's why I'm actually like good at my job because I get to do what I said I was gonna do, which is like call you after you've bought from me and be like, I have some additional information. I just didn't want to overwhelm you, so here's that other information. I'll follow up in a week just to check on you, and then I know shit call you, and I'm like, uh, how's it going? You heard anything? You got any questions? And naturally, no. I paid what I owed. Okay. Nothing happened? No. Okay, cool. And I'll call you back in a couple weeks. And think about it. Whenever you've bought anything ever in your life, did you ever get followed up with? No. It was wham bam thank you ma'am. You never talk to that person the fuck again. I've been that guy too. I hate it. Hate it. Oh, we'll never talk again? That's the last thing I fucking hate. That's the last thing I want to say. Because it's too fucking true. Too often. And I'm certainly not doing that for a paycheck. Only Honda. Hondas are built in Indiana. They just sell your contact info. Someone else calls. Or they have some follow up product to sell. Oh shit, that's funny. Yeah, the best part about this is I can't cost you money. So any of you that are on the fence about doing business with me, I can't cost you money. I can only save you money. And then I would never have a job where what I was doing is actively hurting people. It's the interest that is fucking crippling you financially. And it's mostly the interest that you pay on unsecured debt, like credit cards and payday loans and personal loans and student loans. And so let me tell you about one of my recent clients. One of my recent clients was paying $1,600 a month between their credit cards and their student loans. Think about that. About 800 bucks a month for student loans, about 800 bucks a month for credit cards. $386. That's how much they're paying now, and that means they get to pocket $1,216 a month. Mm-hmm. And they'll be completely out of debt. I think that was a 4-year deal too. And they'll be completely out of debt in 4 years. They had $83,000 in debt. Holy shit is the correct response. Holy shit. Yup. This is what I do every day. Stop paying your credit cards. Cut them things up. Take them off auto pay. Mm-hmm. Pocket that money. You know why? I'll tell you. So when you have a credit card who you've just been paying payments, yeah, that's why you want me. That's why you want to do business with me and enroll and do business with me. So as soon as your student loans get sold, we can buy them. As soon as Advantage and Advantage get rid of that shit and sell it to a third party, it's ours. Now we can negotiate for 40 to 60% of that and stop you paying interest and get you the fuck out of debt and your school paid for, by the way. And also, I met someone the other day, it's their third time through the program. Mhm. And what they do is they generate 25 to $30,000 in anywhere up to 50 to $100,000 in unsecured debt, enroll it in the program, pay pennies on the dollar to get out of it, and then start new accounts. hmm Do it all again. You got to be pretty ballsy to do that, but must have stayed in a Holiday Inn lately. It's not, you know what it is, Bob? I don't have the weight of having voted for this. I don't have the weight of being politically ambiguous. I don't have. I made shit decisions that led me to this spot, and now I have to try to advise other people. Instead, I, Stargazer asked, what company are you with? Beyond Finance, accredited debt relief. hmm Both with super high ratings. hmm I encourage people to do their homework before you reach out to me. And you're like, wait a minute, this company has a 4.9 Google review average? Uh huh. And tens of thousands of positive reviews? Uh huh. And in most states, we have Platinum Legal Protection Service available for like $13 a month. That'll include sending a lawyer to court for you on your behalf. Most of the people that I talk to don't have a choice, right? When we go over your budget and we figure out how much you're making versus how much you're spending every month, and we say, okay, here's my Purdue math. After we look over your budget, before you pay these bills, you've got X amount of dollars left. You pay these bills, you're left with this amount of money, and so I'll just cut the crap. How much are you able to save a month? And I have met like a couple people in the years I've been doing this that have ever said I'm saving money every month. Oh, how much? $100 here or there. Hey, just so y'all know, that's not saving. $100 here and there, but not every paycheck. It's not saving. And so, what this means, without even looking at your credit report, with my eyes closed, I can say, okay, this means that you're paying more in interest than you're able to save. Does that make sense? If you are saving more than you're paying in interest, carry on. Keep doing what you're doing. You're managing your finances. But guess what? If you don't have a savings account, you don't have an emergency account, you're not saving money every paycheck, that means that you are living paycheck to paycheck. Uh huh. Yep. Yeah, you should see the people with a ton of accounts that they've never missed a payment on, and they have years of on time payments, and their credit is poor. It's not your payment history, it's your debt load, it's your debt to income ratio. It's one of the pillars of your credit score. Most people are never told this. They don't even know that how much debt you have is a major factor in that credit score. And how much you're paying a month relative to how much you make impacts your debt to income ratio, which impacts your credit score. And the good news is, it doesn't matter how much you make. Rich, poor, doesn't mean anything. Birthday buddy said she just made her last payment on the Jeep, waiting for the title. Now, see, I've been living without a car payment for 4 or 5 years. That's the goal. The goal is to eliminate car payments, healthcare costs, lower your cost of living for like rent and shit. hmm That should be your impetus. Save your money. Because money saved is always earning interest. And stop thinking about borrowing as a solution. That's one thing I've learned. People are so quick to be like, let's borrow money. You know what the most breaking shit is? What breaks people is when we go, okay, it says your minimum payments are $2,459 a month. And they're like, yep. And I'm like, okay, 80% of your minimum payment is interest. So you are paying $2,000 a month in interest. And they're like, oh my God. Yeah. And my favorite are the people that are like, I make overpayments every month and I get to break you down too because the interest is actually worse on an overpayment. The thing about unsecured debt is you can't direct payment to the principal and you're never done paying interest. hmm So you think I pay an extra $100 on your credit card and your creditor says, and I take 87% of the payment as interest. So understand that credit cards are bad, okay? Actively. The only reason I ever got a credit card was to buy a house. hmm Yep. And if you don't need my help and you're not going to enroll in the program, then you can just eat this advice. Let's say you get a credit card for $1,000. Your whole goal in life is to keep the balance under $300 or 30%. If you can do that, that credit card will report positively to your credit like an asset does. Think of available credit as an asset. Once you break that 30%, it starts to negatively impact your credit score. So this is why as the balance goes up, your credit score goes down even if you're making on-time minimum payments. Okay? This is what I have to tell people like every fucking day. So there's a reason why you don't feel like the balance ever goes down, and that's because for every dollar you spend on those, 80 cents of that is interest and 20 cents hits the principal. Yep. And the debt resolution program that I sell is no interest. And you're out of debt in 4 years or less because there's no prepayment penalties, so you can always pay ahead. hmm In fact, it's the only financial agreement you'll ever see where you pay less than you owe. Most of the time you're paying interest, so you're paying your debt plus interest. We're going to negotiate for like 40 to 60% of that, and then we take a fee, but you're still paying back less than you owe. So that means for like the first time in your life, your dollar is actually worth more than a dollar. It's crazy. It's crazy work. Yeah, it's like $1.22, $1.23. Mm-hmm. Because there's no interest and no penalty to prepay or overpay. Unlike the situation you're in where like you're getting heavily taxed on your payment and then even higher tax or penalty on an overpayment. Yeah. It's a crazy, crazy time to be alive. I'm so glad I don't work for a credit card company. Holy shit. Anyway, have a great day. It's kind of a light news day. Apologize. Actually, I'm not sorry. And if you need anything to make yourself feel better, despite how much he wanted to sign that thing on July 4th. No, you message me. Um, as hard as Donald Trump wanted to sign that shit on July 4th, when you look at congress.gov at HR 1, it doesn't show that it's become law. And I get it. I get it. It's the weekend. I get it. But it was updated. It's been updated. Did he get cold feet? Happens all the time. I talk to people all the time on the phone and think about the conversation we just had. Think about who doesn't buy from me. White men, like stupid white men. I'm dead ass. When I think about who I got a call that I haven't done business with, it's some old white dude from the south. What the fuck are we talking about? Oh yeah.